Imagine going one night without sleep. You'd feel exhausted, maybe a little irritable. Nothing too unusual. But then another night passes. And another. A week later, you're still awake. No matter how tired you become, your brain simply refuses to shut down. Now imagine discovering that you'll never sleep again. It sounds impossible. After all, everyone sleeps eventually, right? But there is a real disease that slowly destroys the part of your brain responsible for sleep. And once it begins, there is no known cure. It's called Fatal Familial Insomnia, one of the rarest and most terrifying diseases on Earth. Victims don't simply suffer from insomnia. Their brains gradually lose the ability to enter sleep at all. So what would actually happen if you could never sleep again? How long could your mind survive? How long could your body keep going? And what happens when exhaustion becomes permanent? The first 24 hours wouldn't seem catastrophic. You'd feel tired. Your focus would weaken. Simple mistakes would become more common. But the real damage would already be starting inside your brain. After just one sleepless day, concentration begins to collapse. Tasks that normally take minutes suddenly feel difficult. Your reaction time slows. Your judgment becomes less reliable. And that's only the beginning. Most people think sleep is just rest. But while you're asleep, your brain is actually hard at work. It organizes memories, repairs damage, and clears away harmful waste products that build up during the day. Without sleep, those processes begin failing. New memories become harder to form. Old memories become harder to access. Information slips away faster than your brain can store it. And reality slowly starts becoming harder to understand. After several days without sleep, something disturbing begins happening. Your brain becomes so exhausted that it starts creating things that aren't there. Shadows move in empty rooms. Voices seem to come from nowhere. And the line between reality and imagination starts to blur. At first, the hallucinations may be small. A movement in the corner of your eye. A sound nobody else heard. But as sleep deprivation continues, those experiences become more vivid and far more terrifying. By the fourth or fifth day, your brain begins doing something extraordinary. It starts forcing fragments of dreams into your waking life. You may think you're awake, but parts of your mind are already dreaming, and you won't always know the difference. Reality becomes increasingly unreliable. Conversations become difficult to follow. Simple decisions feel overwhelming. And slowly, the world around you starts feeling unfamiliar, almost like you're trapped inside someone else's dream. Meanwhile, your body is fighting a battle of its own. Stress hormones surge through your bloodstream. Your heart beats faster. Your blood pressure rises. And your body never gets the recovery time it desperately needs. Every day without sleep places more strain on your cardiovascular system. The heart was never designed to work endlessly without proper rest. And over time, the damage begins to accumulate. Silently. Then your immune system starts breaking down. The defenses that normally protect you become weaker. Your body struggles to fight infections. And illnesses that were once minor can suddenly become serious threats. The longer sleep remains absent, the more dramatic the effects become. Your appearance changes. Your energy disappears. Your mental and physical health begin deteriorating together. This is where fatal familial insomnia becomes truly terrifying. Because unlike ordinary insomnia, this condition doesn't improve. It doesn't stabilize. It only gets worse. Week after week, doctors may try sleeping medications, sedatives, various treatments, but eventually, none of them work. Because the problem isn't a lack of sleep. The problem is the brain itself. Researchers have spent decades studying this disease, trying to understand why it happens, trying to find a cure. But fatal familial insomnia remains one of medicine's most disturbing mysteries. The culprit is a small structure deep inside the brain called the thalamus. It plays a critical role in regulating sleep. When this area becomes damaged, the brain slowly loses its ability to switch off. And that's when the real nightmare begins. As the disease progresses, damage to the thalamus becomes more severe. The brain slowly loses control over one of its most basic functions, the ability to sleep. And once that process begins, reversing it becomes nearly impossible. Victims often become increasingly confused. Simple conversations become difficult. Names are forgotten. Thoughts become fragmented. It's as if the brain is slowly losing its grip on reality. The lack of sleep doesn't just affect the body. It changes how the world is perceived. Reality begins to feel unstable. And even familiar places can start feeling strange and unfamiliar. Some patients describe experiences that feel almost dreamlike, moments where reality and imagination seem to overlap, where the brain can no longer fully separate what is real from what is not. Doctors can often see the effects spreading throughout the nervous system. Sleep becomes shorter, then fragmented, then almost completely absent, while symptoms continue becoming more severe. For families, the experience can be heartbreaking. They watch someone they love slowly change, knowing that the condition is progressing, and knowing there is little anyone can do to stop it. What makes fatal familial insomnia even more frightening is its origin. The disease is caused by a rare genetic mutation, a tiny error hidden deep inside a person's DNA. That mutation causes abnormal proteins to form inside the brain. Over time, those proteins accumulate, damaging critical brain regions, including the structures responsible for sleep. Because the mutation can be inherited, the disease sometimes affects multiple generations of the same family, a terrifying reality that has haunted certain families for decades. Imagine learning that a condition hidden in your genes could one day take away your ability to sleep, not for a few nights, not for a few weeks, but forever. As the disease advances, victims often become desperately tired. Their bodies beg for sleep. Their minds crave rest, but the brain can no longer provide it. Night after night passes. Hours become days. Days become weeks. Yet true restorative sleep never arrives, and the consequences continue to build. Memory begins deteriorating further. Important moments become difficult to recall. Recent conversations disappear from the mind, and confusion becomes a constant companion. The emotional toll can be overwhelming. Fear, anxiety, frustration, and the growing realization that something inside the brain is fundamentally wrong. By this stage, the disease affects far more than sleep. The brain's ability to regulate countless other functions begins breaking down as well, and the situation becomes increasingly dangerous. Every day without proper sleep pushes the body further toward its limits. The recovery that normally happens every night never comes, and the damage continues accumulating. Hallucinations can become more frequent. Reality becomes harder to trust, and victims may struggle to understand what is truly happening around them. The brain depends on sleep to maintain itself. Without that process, normal function becomes harder and harder to sustain, and eventually, even basic tasks become difficult. The bed remains there. The opportunity to sleep remains there, but the ability itself has been lost. And that's what makes this disease so uniquely terrifying. By now, one thing has become painfully clear. Sleep isn't simply something we enjoy. It's something we need to survive. And without it, the human mind begins to unravel.